The gathering storm, Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant Spirit, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace through the massive viewport. At 38, he was young for a deep space exploration captain, but his record spoke for itself. 3 first contact situations, 2 successful colony establishments, and countless missions that had pushed humanity's borders deeper into the unknown regions of the galaxy. Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command, announced Lieutenant Sarah Park, his communications officer. Her voice carried an unusual tension that immediately put Marcus on alert. Put it through, Lieutenant. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Admiral Elena Vasquez, her weathered face grim with barely contained anger. Behind her, the familiar blue marble of Earth hung in the void, but something in her expression suggested their homeworld might not remain safe much longer. Captain Chen, you are ordered to return to Earth immediately. All exploration missions are terminated effective immediately. The Admiral's voice was sharp, cutting through the bridge's usual hum of activity. The Galactic High Council has issued an ultimatum. Marcus felt his stomach drop. The Galactic High Council rarely issued ultimatums, and when they did, entire civilizations trembled. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Federation for 50 years, ever since first contact with the Centaurian Trade Guild had opened the stars to human exploration. In that time, they had earned respect through their diplomatic skills, their adaptability, and their seemingly endless curiosity about the universe. What kind of ultimatum, Admiral? Vasquez's expression darkened further. Complete cessation of independent human exploration beyond designated zones. All human colonies beyond the Sol system to be placed under Federation oversight. Our military fleet to be reduced by 60%, and... She paused, her jaw clenching. Mandatory genetic modification to reduce what they call our aggressive expansion tendencies. The bridge fell silent, except for the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Marcus felt something cold and hard settle. In his chest, genetic modification. They wanted to change what made humans human. Sir, with respect, Dr. Sarah Okafor, his chief science officer, spoke up from her station. At 29, she was one of the brightest minds in the fleet, her dark skin contrasting sharply with the pale blue light of her displays. That's not an ultimatum. That's a demand for surrender. Admiral Vasquez nodded grimly. The Council, leader Zephyrian Colvex, was very clear. Humanity has grown too independent, too unpredictable. They claim we're destabilizing the galactic order with our rapid expansion and our refusal to follow established protocols. Marcus knew those protocols. Ancient rules established by civilizations that had reached the stars, millennia before humanity had even discovered agriculture. Rules that said exploration should be slow, careful, and always approved by the Council. Rules that said younger species should know their place and defer to their elders. Rules that had never accounted for human stubbornness. What's our response time, Admiral? 72 hours to comply, or they'll enforce compliance themselves. Vasquez's voice carried a weight that spoke of sleepless nights and impossible decisions. Marcus, they're assembling a fleet. 8 species, over 6,000 ships. The largest military gathering in galactic history. Orders, ma'am. Admiral Vasquez was quiet for a long moment, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the steel. That had made her legend. Project Phoenix is activated. All deep space vessels are to rendezvous at Point Salvation. Dr. Okafor knows the coordinates. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Marcus turned to his science officer, who was already pulling up classified files on her console. Her fingers moved across the holographic interface with practiced precision, accessing databases that few humans knew existed. Dr. Okafor, what is Project Phoenix? Sarah looked up from her console, her eyes bright with something between fear and excitement. Captain, it's what we've been preparing for since we first encountered the Federation. The possibility that one day the galaxy might decide humanity needed to be ... controlled. She transferred the files to the main display, and Marcus felt his breath catch. Weapon systems that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Ship modifications that turned exploration vessels into something far more dangerous. Research into technologies that the Federation had declared forbidden. We've been working on this for 50 years. The moment we learned about the galactic pecking order, some very smart people realized we might not always be welcome as equals. Sarah explained, her voice growing stronger with each word. Project Phoenix isn't just weapons, Captain. It's everything. New propulsion systems that don't rely on Federation-controlled jump gates. Life support systems that can keep human crews operational for years beyond any alien endurance. Manufacturing capability that can turn asteroids into fleets. Marcus studied the data, scrolling past his eyes. Humanity hadn't just been exploring the galaxy for 50 years. They'd been preparing for the day when exploration would be forbidden. Set course for Point Salvation, maximum burn, he ordered, and send a message to the crew. Tell them we're about to discover what we're really capable of. The journey to Point Salvation took 18 hours, during which Marcus watched his ship transform. Crew members who had seemed like ordinary explorers and scientists revealed training in combat systems he hadn't known existed. Equipment he'd assumed was for geological surveys turned out to be weapons manufacturing tools. His own ship, which he'd thought was a peaceful exploration vessel, began reconfiguring itself into something that looked like it belonged in a war museum. But it was the arrival at Point Salvation that truly opened his eyes. The coordinates led them to what appeared to be empty space on the edge of the neutral zone, a region of space that belonged to no particular species and served as a buffer between Federation territory and the unknown regions beyond. But as they dropped out of hyperspace, Marcus discovered that empty space could be very deceiving. Ships materialized around them, not just the few dozen vessels he'd expected, but hundreds. Sleek destroyers that had never appeared on any Federation registry. Massive battleships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Carrier vessels that dwarfed anything in the official human fleet. My God, breathed Lieutenant Park. Where did all these ships come from? Dr. Okafor smiled for the first time since they'd received their orders. Captain, remember all those mining operations in the outer systems? All those research stations in the asteroid belts? All those communication arrays we've been building for decades? Understanding dawned on Marcus like a cold sunrise. We've been building a secret fleet. Not secret, Sarah corrected. Hidden in plain sight. Every human colony, every mining operation, every research station has been contributing to Project Phoenix. We've been preparing for this day for 50 years. The main display chimed with an incoming transmission. Admiral Vasquez appeared again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood figures Marcus recognized from history books and news reports. Dr. Alina Petrov, the architect of humanity's first starships. General David Kim, hero of the Centaurian border incident. Dr. Amara Singh, whose theoretical work had led to humanity's first faster-than-light communications. Captain Chen, welcome to Phoenix Command, Admiral Vasquez said, and her voice now carried something Marcus had never heard before: anticipation. You're looking at humanity's real fleet. 437 vessels, equipped with technologies the Federation doesn't know we possess. Admiral, the Federation fleet, 6,000 ships, she confirmed. Overwhelming odds by any conventional measure. But Marcus, when has humanity ever fought conventionally? Before Marcus could respond, every display on the bridge lit up with emergency signals. Dr. Okafor's hands flew over her console, her expression shifting from confidence to alarm. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the galactic core. Something big is moving. The main display shifted to show a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red warning indicators were appearing throughout the Federation territories, spreading like a disease from system to system. Sarah, what am I looking at? Dr. Okafor's face had gone pale. Contact with Federation worlds is going dark, sir. Starting from the core and moving outward. It's not the Federation fleet mobilizing against us. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It's something else entirely. Admiral Vasquez's voice cut through their growing dread. All ships, code red, we're not facing the Federation anymore. Long-range sensors are detecting movement from the galactic core. Something that's been dormant for 1,000,000 years just woke up. Marcus stared at the display as more systems went dark. Whatever was coming, it was consuming Federation worlds at an alarming rate. The 8 species that had been so concerned about human expansion were now facing something that made their worst fears about humanity look trivial. Admiral, orders. Captain, it appears the galaxy is about to discover why humans don't follow rules. Admiral Vasquez replied, her voice carrying grim satisfaction. Sometimes breaking the rules is the only way to survive what follows. Fire and fury unleashed. The thing that emerged from the galactic core defied classification by any known science. It wasn't a single ship or even a fleet in the conventional sense. It was something that existed partially outside normal spacetime. A writhing mass of dark energy that consumed entire star systems and converted their matter into more of itself. Dr. Sarah Okafor stood in the Phoenix Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the advancing threat. Her hands moved constantly across quantum interfaces, analyzing data that painted an increasingly terrifying picture. It's not organic, and it's not mechanical, she reported to the assembled human command staff. It's something in between, or maybe something beyond both. The Federation databases have a single entry for it, buried in their deepest archives. They call it the Devourer. Admiral Vasquez studied the tactical display, watching Federation fleets engage the entity and simply vanish. What happened to it? Why has it been dormant? According to the records, it consumed approximately 40% of the galaxy before the ancient civilizations found a way to put it to sleep, Sarah explained. That was over 1,000,000 years ago. The Federation founders built their entire civilization around ensuring it never woke up again. Captain Marcus Chen joined them at the central display, his face grim. Let me guess, our expansion into the outer regions somehow disturbed it. Worse than that, Sarah said quietly. Our exploration of the deep dark regions didn't wake it up. The Federation's attempt to mobilize their entire fleet did. All that military activity, all those ships jumping simultaneously through hyperspace, created the exact type of dimensional disturbance that the ancient warnings said would rouse the Devourer. The irony was bitter. The Federation's attempt to contain humanity had awakened the very threat their ancestors had fought to contain. Status of Federation forces: in full retreat, reported Commander Lisa Torres from the tactical station. 3 of the 8 species have already lost their homeworlds. Council leader Zephyrian Colvex is broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding that all species contribute their fleets to a unified defense. Admiral Vasquez's laugh was without humor. After spending 50 years telling us we were too dangerous to be trusted with military independence, now they want our help. Marcus watched the display as more Federation worlds went dark. Admiral, are we going to help them? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Every person in the command center knew the answer would define not just humanity's future, but potentially the fate of galactic civilization itself. Dr. Okafor, theoretical question, Admiral Vasquez said slowly. Could our Phoenix technologies actually hurt this thing? Sarah's hands flew over her console, running calculations at superhuman speed. The Devourer exists partially outside normal space-time, which means conventional weapons are useless against it. But our Phoenix weapons were designed to push beyond conventional physics. Her eyes widened as the calculations resolved. Admiral, our reality anchor technology might actually be able to force it back into normal space where it can be fought. And our temporal disruptors could potentially age portions of it to the point of decay. Yes. Sarah's voice grew stronger with each word. Admiral, we might be the only force in the galaxy that can actually fight this thing. Admiral Vasquez was quiet for a long moment, studying the tactical display. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of decision. Commander Torres, open a channel to all Federation vessels. The main display flickered, showing the chaos of the Federation fleet in full retreat. Ships from 8 different species, their formations broken, their commanders shouting orders in a dozen languages, and cutting through the noise, Admiral Vasquez's voice. Federation forces, this is Admiral Alina Vasquez of the Human Deep Space Fleet. We are prepared to assist in combating the Devourer threat. The response was immediate and predictable. Council leader Zephyrian Colvex's reptilian face appeared on screen, his usual arrogance replaced by desperate relief. Admiral, we accept any assistance. Our combined fleets will coordinate with your vessels under Federation military protocol. Negative, Admiral Vasquez replied calmly. Human forces will engage the Devourer independently. We suggest you withdraw 2 defensive positions around core worlds and let us work. The alien commander's expression shifted from relief to outrage. Admiral, this is not the time for human arrogance. This threat requires unified command under Federation authority. Council leader Admiral Vasquez said, and her voice carried the patience of someone explaining simple concepts to a child. Your unified command just lost half the galactic fleet in 6 hours. Our arrogance might be the only thing standing between the Devourer and the complete annihilation of galactic civilization. She cut the transmission and turned to her command staff. All ships, execute Phoenix Protocol. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do when we stop playing by other people's rules. What happened next would be remembered as the moment humanity stepped out of the galaxy's shadow and took their place as its protector. The human fleet didn't retreat from the advancing Devourer. Instead, they accelerated directly toward it, their ships reconfiguring themselves as they flew. Hulls that had seemed solid became fluid, adapting to new weapon configurations that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Engines that had been designed for exploration were revealed to be capable of tactical maneuvers that defied conventional understanding of SPACEFLIGHT. Captain. Marcus Chen found himself in command of a vessel he barely recognized. The Defiant Spirit had transformed from an exploration ship into something that looked like it belonged in humanity's darkest military fantasies. Weapons that could tear holes in space-time itself. Shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. And at the heart of it all, Dr. Sarah Okafor's reality anchor technology. Target the leading edge of the Devourer mass, Marcus ordered. All ships, fire reality anchors on my mark. The human fleet opened fire with weapons that the Federation had declared impossible. Beams of coherent space-time manipulation struck the Devourer, and for the first time in over 1,000,000 years, the ancient entity screamed. The sound was transmitted. Across every frequency, a psychic shriek of pain and rage that was felt rather than heard. Across the galaxy, telepathic species collapsed from the feedback. But more importantly, portions of the Devourer were pulled back into normal space-time, becoming vulnerable to conventional attack. Temporal disruptors, full spread, Admiral Vasquez commanded from her flagship, aged the anchored sections to dust. What followed was 18 minutes of the most intense combat in galactic history. Human ships danced around an entity the size of a small moon, their temporal weapons aging 1,000-year-old alien technology to nothing in seconds. Their quantum cascade weapons turned sections of the Devourer into expanding fields of pure energy. Their reality anchors forced an entity that existed beyond normal physics to face the limitations of conventional spationing, and slowly, incredibly, the Devourer began to retreat. The ancient entity that had consumed civilizations pulled back from human space. Its advance halted for the first time in 1,000,000 years. But as it retreated, it left behind a message that was transmitted across every communication system in the galaxy. The young species understands. The ancient hunger retreats, but does not sleep. When next we wake, we will remember the fire that burns in human hearts. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began and the galaxy counted its losses, the Federation leadership found themselves facing a new reality. The species they had tried to contain, the civilization they had attempted to control, had just saved galactic civilization itself. Council leader Zephyrian Colvex appeared on the main display. His earlier arrogance completely absent. Admiral Vasquez, the Galactic High Council, wishes to formally withdraw all previous ultimatums. We owe humanity a debt that can never be repaid. Admiral Vasquez studied the alien leader for a long moment before responding. Council leader, humanity doesn't want your debt. We want something much simpler. Name it. Recognition that the galaxy is big enough for all of us. That different approaches to exploration and defense aren't threats to be contained, but assets to be celebrated. And most importantly, her voice grew steel hard. Understanding that if you ever again try to limit human potential, you'll discover that the Devourer was not the most dangerous thing in this galaxy. The transmission ended, and Marcus Chen found himself smiling for the first time in days. Around him, the bridge crew of the Defiant Spirit was already reconfiguring their ship back to exploration mode. There were new regions of space to explore, new civilizations to meet, new challenges to overcome, because that's what humans did. They explored, they adapted, and when the galaxy needed saving, they answered with fire and fury that reminded everyone why humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through submission, but through the courage to stand and fight when everything else had fallen. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's place. Now they remembered, and they would never make that mistake again.